Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 5511 Westfield Court here in Lake Oswego. We are located to the right of the front door. That's as you stand in the street facing the front of the house and how I describe everything. So you've got a 3-inch PVC clean out, and take note, if you follow the line out, it's not that hard to find. That what makes it tricky is that there is a sprinkler sitting directly on top of it. It makes it very sketchy to try and probe around for without risking breaking a pipe. So anyway, it sits barely to the left of the water shutoff, right up against the sprinkler. We've got a 3-inch PVC clean out. Once we get our camera flipped around the right direction here, we're going to zero the foot counter out. And it looks like the line swaps over to PVC pipe, or I'm sorry, ABS pipe immediately upon access. We're going to zero out here and off we go. And we have a abundance of water moving through the line right now. Once we go to pull back, we'll turn that off for a moment so the line drains off. We'll get a better view of everything once we reel back in here. But quite a clean sewer line. There's hardly any buildup to speak of in it. Just transition there over to 4-inch 3034 PVC. It actually might be 6-inch. I'll have to watch the transitions as we come back in. We may very well be in some standing water here, but we'll assess that on the way out. We have, believe, a myriad of fixtures running right now. You know, a bathtub running full bore, for instance, can exaggerate a belly with a 1/4 inch of standing water into what looks like an inch or two. But you can see how we did just pop out of that, so it does look like you've got a belly there. Now, the one plus side is that belly is a good distance from the house. If you're going to have a belly, that's where you want it to be. The further and further out they get, the least likely they are to actually lead to a backup. And that is due to head pressure. If you get a blockage at 5 feet outside your house, water starts building up, it gets to your first fixture rather quickly. You block up 50, 60 feet away from the house, you have to fill up that much pipe to get back to the clean out. In doing so, it creates a lot of head pressure. That's the water weight sitting on the blockage. The average blockage made of balled up toilet paper, proper usage items, cannot withstand that kind of head pressure, generally speaking. Paper towels and wipes, that's a different story. Anyway, we've hit the main here at 98 feet. We're going to go locate that really quick here while the line drains off. Alright, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates on Westfield Court. And where I picked that locate up out in the street, you're just a little bit more than halfway across the cul-de-sac where you hit the main. But it lines up almost perfectly with where the clean out's at. So, you know, gives you an idea. If you drew an imaginary straight line from the clean out to about the middle of the cul-de-sac, that's essentially the route the line takes. The unfortunate part about lines like this is basically every square inch of it is under concrete. So it's expensive to fix any part of it, aside from about the first 5 or 6 feet of it. We're going to let that last little bit of water trickle off here. Line should be done draining in just a second here. Alright, we've got, I think, a shower. I think that upstairs shower has got one of those indirect water flow. The amount of water moving through the line right now is not enough to really exaggerate things much. So we're going to go slow here. Eventually the thing will drain off. But as it relates to the bellied areas, the amount that this amount of water is going to exaggerate things is pretty darn minimal. I'm going to go kind of slow here, though, so I can just ensure what I'm in is either flowing or standing water. And when you have these lines, after 13 years of scoping sewer lines, your average sewer line that is not pitched up on a really steep hillside, it's pushing 100 feet plus. I mean, probably dang near 85% of them or better are going to have a belly. It's very difficult to grade a sewer line this far without having some of it shift somewhere. I tend to look at these a little bit different than your average sewer line. It looks like we're right at the tail end of a belly here. And at these distances, when you start getting this far out, unless I have a belly with the pipe joint split open to the ground, it's not a scenario where I will ever recommend repairs on it. It's the likelihood of getting a backup from a distance like that is almost impossible unless you are abusing the thing to no end with nothing but paper towels and wipes. The belly we just went into here is so small, it's hard to even tell where it starts and stops. It's somewhere right around 78 feet here. And with water still trickling to the line, you're only holding about a quarter inch of standing water in that location. The only thing a quarter inch of water is ever going to hang up on a consistent basis is lots and lots of cooking oil, grease. Like right here, for instance, the line's running a little bit flat. And there's still a little bit trickling through there. So if we got this thing 100% completely bone dry, what you'd be left over with would be about a 32nd of an inch. And because it's kind of throughout this 30-34 PVC, I'm not going to map out every individual spot. They're all kind of continuous with each other. Right there, you're getting just over a quarter inch of standing water. Looks like someone's been putting eggshells down the line. That is, funny enough, eggshells are one of the worst things you can put down your line. Luckily, there's not a lot of them. Eggshells and standing water, for whatever reason, I have a feeling it has to do with the density of eggshells. They're like gold. They sink to the bottom of the water and they stay there. Even after a hydrojet is performed, rarely do you clear the eggshells out. Looks like we're still in some standing water here. And we're now popping out of the 30-34 PVC. So your standing water here starts at about the 35-foot mark and extends out to about 85 feet. At its worst point there, you might be working with a ½ inch of standing water. By and large, though, most of it, and you can see we still have a little bit of water trickling through the line, so you can expect that that's been exaggerated still by probably about a 1/16 of an inch or so. It's not major, but we're also talking about not major depths of water here either. So it's a lengthy enough section of pipe. If you're abusing the sewer line, if you're putting wipes down it, lots of cooking oil, grease, stuff like that, you could theoretically get some buildup. From what I can see here, you've got enough mildew film and whatnot on the sidewalls of the pipe. I don't see any evidence this has been hydrojetted recently. Nothing obvious anyway. There's staining and films in here that just wouldn't be there. That's been cleaned up to spiff it up for the sale. And you've also got a pretty good dive right before that spot there. So my 2 cents on this is this. To fix that, to me, is overkill. It's a very minimal amount of standing water. It's over a reasonable length of pipe, but it's also a good distance from the home and at the base of a hard vertical dive like that. To me, the cost incurred to repair that far outweighs the benefit gained, especially when there's barely enough buildup in the line right now to even recommend a few $100 in hydrojetting. That repair there, you would be easily pushing into the $15,000 realm, no problem, if not more so. It's 100% under street and driveway. And there's no signs or evidence of any major buildup in here, blockage evidence, backups, nothing. And what I am going to do here in just a moment is reverse the camera. You can see the line does jog a little bit. Overall, by the time it hits the main, though, it's pretty well straightened out and lined up with the clean out. We're going to run the camera backwards here. All the pipe we just went through there, all of it is intact. Nothing's broken. Plastic pipe can settle to a significant length without separating or breaking. Alright, so we're just back through the foundation wall right now, and I always do this in scenarios where there's standing water. Some people are savvy, and they like to clean their line before the sale, spiff it up, minimize things. This is the one spot, though, that there is almost no hydrojetting person in the world that will run a machine backwards into the line and clean that stuff up. So the importance of that is I'm not seeing hardly any debris to speak of going backwards into the house. Backup evidence, unless the line has been jetted to clear all that stuff out, would still exist at the top of the pipe. And there is nothing to speak of going back into the house there. So that's my reasoning for not recommending a repair on this. I think it's total overkill for the situation we have here. As we sit, we have adequate flow all the way out to the main lateral. The line is very clean. There is essentially zero buildup. Even the eggshells that are in there, it'd be nice to have them gone, but even if you run a jet through this thing, it's unlikely to clear any of them out. And I would only recommend that if there was super, super thick piles of them. And what you've got in there is pretty spread out and fairly minimal. You just do not want to put those down your disposal in your sink. They build up in the trap under your sink like crazy too. But once they hit any amount of standing water, they hang up. So there's just not enough in there to even recommend jetting. That's also part of my reasoning for not recommending a repair of that magnitude. Sewer line is functioning at this time.